Today we're going to talk about the Arctic. The Arctic in this map is everything above the yellow line. It has land, which is called the Arctic tundra, and ocean, which is called the Arctic Ocean. We'll be learning about plants and animals. Hello again, Ratborough the Adventurer here to take you on a tour of one of the coldest habitats on Earth, the Arctic tundra. In the tundra, there aren't very many plants. In fact, there are no trees at all, and a rat like me has to wear long johns and mittens. The wind here is incredibly strong, which makes the air feel even colder. The ground is frozen, and nearly everything is covered in ice. In the winter, daylight lasts only a few hours, and at times the sun does not come out at all. Some ice will still be here in the summer, but in the summer the top layer of ice melts so that the ground gets wet and muddy. The temperatures here are so low that most people and animals would freeze. All of these things make the Arctic tundra one of the least friendly habitats on Earth for plants and animals. Some plants and animals can only live in the Arctic tundra in the summer months when the temperature is warmer, but some are able to live there all year long. Arctic plants grow very close together and do not grow very tall, which keeps them from being blown away by the Arctic winds. The kinds of plants that can live in the Arctic tundra are mosses and different types of grasses. For once, I'm one of the tallest things around. The animals that call the Arctic tundra habitat home all year round have adapted to the harsh conditions. This creature is called a musk ox. The musk ox's long, shaggy coat has an extra layer of hair underneath that keeps him warm when the temperature is cold enough to turn a rat into a popsicle. And it sheds its extra coat of hair in the summer. Musk ox travel in herds so they can huddle together for added warmth. Their hooves are very wide to keep them from slipping on the snow and the ice. In the winter, musk oxen use their sharp hooves to dig under the snow to find plants to eat. Here comes an animal I want to stay hidden away from. This is a wolverine, and wolverines like to eat small animals. The wolverine uses its fur coat to keep nice and warm. Like the muskox, the wolverine has large paws to help it move across the snow, and that comes in handy when it's trying to catch food. These animals are called caribou and are part of the deer family. They are sometimes called reindeer. These caribou are traveling in a huge herd, which helps to protect them against attack by other animals. Caribou hair traps air, which helps keep these animals warm. Their hooves change depending on the time of year, so they can walk and run on mushy, wet terrain or on hard, icy terrain. Caribou also have antlers to help them dig for grass in the snow. This Arctic fox also has a coat that changes during the winter from a brown summer coat into this very thick white fur to help the fox blend into its surroundings. The fur also covers its feet so it can walk on the snow and ice. Thanks to the fox's fur, it can hide and sneak up on birds, hares, and rodents like me. The Arctic hare's white coat becomes much heavier in the winter. Its ears are smaller than those of other hares, meaning less of its body is exposed to the cold. In other words, this is no place for a critter with long dangly ears, unless they have long dangly earmuffs to keep those ears from freezing. The hare's white coloring also helps it hide in the snow, and its back feet are wide and large, like small snowshoes, so it can run fast in the snow. There are other kinds of habitats in the Arctic besides the tundra, and different kinds of plants and animals live in these other habitats. The Arctic Ocean is a habitat rich in sea life and animals that rely on the sea for their food. The water is so cold in the Arctic Ocean that most living creatures would be able to stay alive for only a few minutes in it. Animals such as the walrus call the Arctic Ocean home. These huge creatures just love the icy water and can swim around for a long period of time. Walruses have adapted to the life in the Arctic Ocean by storing blubber under their skin. Blubber is a layer of fat to help them keep warm. Blubber prevents heat from escaping from their bodies. Walruses also have long teeth, called tusks, which they use almost like arms to pull themselves up out of the water and onto the ice. Look at these cute animals. They are seals. Seals have blubber under their skin just like walruses. Some types of seals are born covered in a layer of white fur to keep them warm until they develop blubber. Seals are incredible swimmers. Like fish and walruses, seals don't have arms and legs. Instead, seals have flippers, and they swim by wiggling their bodies from side to side, using their flippers to steer. They swim very fast, so they catch plenty of tasty fish. Thankfully, they don't like to eat rats. Here comes a polar bear. Look out! Let's hide behind this rock, and I'll tell you about this amazing creature. The polar bear is perhaps the best known of all animals living around the Arctic Ocean. These astonishing animals have adapted incredibly well to the harsh Arctic habitat. Polar bears are the largest bears in the world. Male polar bears weigh up to 1,700 pounds. That's probably heavier than everyone in your class put together, including your teacher. The polar bears grow up to 10 feet from head to toe. Yikes! Polar bears are covered in a heavy coat made up of 2 layers of fur, and they have a layer of blubber under their skin. Their ears and tails are very small, so that not much of their bodies are exposed to the cold weather. It's a good thing they have fur and blubber and sharp claws because polar bears spend most of their life living on the sea ice or chunks of ice that float on the Arctic Ocean. Sometimes polar bears take a dip in the icy Arctic water and swim from one chunk of ice to another. They have webbed paws, sort of like a duck's feet, to help them swim. They use those mighty paws to hunt their favorite food, seals. Like all living things, polar bears need water to survive, and they get that water from melted snow and ice. Even though adult polar bears spend most of their time living on sea ice, polar bear babies, or cubs, are born on land. Their mothers, female polar bears, burrow into the snow to make a den. They will then hide in the den while they have their babies. They stay in their dens with their young all winter, and in the spring, they finally come out. The cubs stay with their mothers for almost 2 years to learn hunting and survival skills before leaving home. Now, speaking of home, I really must go. It's absolutely frigid. It's very, very cold here. And my whisker warmers just aren't doing their job. We learned a lot about the Arctic habitat and the animals that have managed to adapt and survive here. I think our next stop should be somewhere warmer, don't you? Remember that even habitats as extremely cold as the Arctic tundra and the Arctic Ocean can be full of life. Now, it's not easy for me to stay hidden in all this snow, and I can barely move with all these clothes on. So I'm getting out of here before I'm spotted by that Arctic fox. See you next time.